Good morning. It's
We're live,
Q&A
baby.
Thursday, and we're here to answer your marriage or relationship questions or questions about how to feel more self-love. So let's just introduce ourselves if you haven't met us before. I'm Petra, and this is
I am Gary.
Gary.
I'm the husband.
And we help men and women practice consciousness in their life and in their marriage through online workshops and programs and one-on-one sessions. So here we go. We're going to move right away into the questions. All right. So the first question, I'll read it to you, Gary.
Read it.
It's from a woman who's in a relationship with a man. And she says, how do I get someone to communicate more? My partner just left the house without saying anything. And this is a typical thing that happens around the household for her. And she's thinking, what the, am I that horrible of a person that you can't acknowledge when you leave the house or say goodbye to me? So shall we answer this?
I can say from a man's perspective, because we've kind of gone through that a little bit, where we kind of feel like either we're saying, you're saying hello, or you want to say goodbye, you want to communicate, or we're uncomfortable doing it. And my thought is, here's my take on it. Here's my take on it.
Yeah, just answer the question, if you don't mind.
So I'll say from the man's perspective, if you've whined to me or you've complained to me about me not doing something, it makes me want to do the opposite. So I might not want to say to you, okay, I might not feel like going,
sorry, I was waving to my friend.
I'm going out, or I might not feel like doing that. On the other hand, when you're sweet to me, if we connect, if we're like connecting like we are now, eye to eye, and I feel comfortable around you, and you might say something like, before you leave, I really like it, or it makes me feel more loved when, you say goodbye, or you give me a kiss, or you just let me know where you're going or what you're up to. It makes me feel safe. Like when you've done that in a very calm way, I hear it and I'm like, yeah.
So you're asking me to come to you and ask you. So I think what Gary's saying to us is that we need to communicate with them what we want. So for example, if I need Gary just to feel acknowledged or to know where he's going, to say something to me, then I'd say, hey, Gary, I really need you to acknowledge when you're leaving the house, for example. Could you do that by saying, hey, I'm going here, or coming to give me a kiss and letting me know, when you'll be back, something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know that I know how you feel if I don't do that. I know you might feel abandoned, or you might not feel loved, or it might trigger something.
Really?
So me being aware of that, I'm just like,
okay, it might trigger, I don't think it triggers me necessarily. I am curious where he goes, but with the question that was being posted, for sure she was triggered and doesn't feel good enough. She's like, what the hell? Like, why are you not acknowledging me when you leave the house?
So from the woman's perspective, what would you suggest that the woman needs to do?
Well, I'm just thinking, okay, you have a right to feel unacknowledged, but that won't trigger everybody. For example, if Gary leaves the house, he goes in and out all the time, and it's very cute. You actually say to me, I'm going to the chicken coop. Okay, the chicken coop is literally
100 feet.
Is it 10 meters away?
It's 100 feet from our house.
Okay, I'm like, okay, honey, thanks for telling me. Don't really need to know that. But then on the other hand, sometimes I'll be like, where the hell's Gary? I need his help with dinner, with the kids or whatever. I'm out back door, Gary, and I don't know where he is, right? So it doesn't necessarily trigger me, but I would like to know when he's gone during a very important time when I know it's going to be crazy and hectic. So if you could, during those times, let me know where you are. Would that work for you?
Yeah. But that doesn't really answer the question, because
no, but I'm demonstrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
You said
So I understand that, right?
Uh-huh.
I understand that you like to know that. We've been together. It's been almost 16 years. So I know that from you. I know that if I don't tell you.
But some people don't know. So this question is asking you, what do I do if.
Yeah. So what do you do? You're the woman. What do you do?
I think I would agree with Gary to say, when you're in a loving state with your man, say, when you leave the house, it's really important for me to know that you're going, or to let communicate with me, what's up, just so that we're a family here. So in case I've ever needed you or whatever, that I have an idea of where you're at. I don't want to necessarily friend app you. That friend app. There's a friend app that you can follow people and know where they are.
Really?
It's crazy. But the other person has to accept it. So if you are doing that with your husband, it's reciprocal. Just, fun little insider tip
Oh
there.
my gosh.
Life hack, marriage hack.
Crazy.
What if all the communication has stopped? Oh, I love that another question is coming in. Thank you so much. What if all the communication has stopped and you can feel that it is over? That is an awesome question. Thank you. When you say you can feel it is over, are you indicating that it's over, as in you're both going separate ways, or it's over that you just aren't able to break down the barrier that's in the way of communicating? Can you clarify that, please? Because I think there's two different questions there.
I kind of want to speak to that right now. We're going through that right now, not in our relationship, but in a relationship in our life.
Oh, so curious.
That's
Yes,
happening
that's
right
so
now. And we can feel that happen. And here's my take. I just want to say this. I want to say that for a relationship to work, it has to be two-way. There has to be communication, and we have to be sharing. Like, if we want it to work, if one person's sharing their feelings and being open and honest and vulnerable and brave and courageous and really sharing themselves, but the other one
Which
isn't.
we did, is what you're saying.
But
in
we
this
do
scenario.
that. We do that in our relationship, and it works for
Yes,
us.
but you're relating to the relationship in which this happened for
Yes.
us.
So we can't say a whole lot about it. It's a part of it's a working relationship we have with somebody, and we were being honest. We were being loving. We were being kind. It's confidential, so we can't speak.
Okay.
to it, okay. It's a working relationship, but it wasn't coming back to us. We were being loving. We were being kind. We were being inclusive, but it
Asking
wasn't
for
coming back.
information.
So here's my take on it. It has to be two-way. There has to be love going both ways. There has to be energy going both ways. Unless you want to feel unloved, you want to feel not worth it, you want to feel unworthy, and not feeling like that love is reciprocated. You got to ask yourself, do you want to be in a relationship like that?
And or, now I'm going to be on the other side, is does that person have the avenue or the tools that it takes to communicate? Because some people don't have that. And let's get here. The question is answered that I asked. Yes, over. Going separate ways, but not officially separated. Living in separate rooms and separate activities. Only communication about children's requirements. So are you asking how to open up, as in?
Can I speak to it?
I think, yeah, do you understand?
It says, yes, it's over. We're going separate ways, but not officially separated. They're living in separate rooms and separate activities. We can't really speak to it from experience, but this is what I can say about relationships. I would do in our situation, when things don't go well, we've gone to counseling. We've gone to coaching. We've reached out for help. That's what we've done.
Yes.
We've gone inside. We've found love. Our relationship forces us to go inside because we don't always get along great. But in doing so and admitting it, we go inside of ourselves to find that love and find that well, so that it springs up, so that we can be loving in a relationship.
I want to really address
but I want to
question.
speak to this.
Okay, go ahead.
So to speak to this and say, if there's no capacity for one side, for say your husband doesn't want to communicate with you, you have to ask yourself, do I want to be with this person the way they are? Do I want to live this way for the rest of my life? On the other hand, we've always tried to exhaust every single avenue. That's what's kept us together.
Yeah.
That's what's helped us grow together, is because we've worked at it.
Thank you for going there, because I'm on the side of just getting into the communication. And I think what you're really asking, because I know you well, is how to communicate with someone who you know it's over. But so what are you trying to communicate if you know it's over? Are you trying to communicate that it's over? Or are you trying to communicate, what more can I do? You know, I really like to, you've gone to counseling. He basically says, if you don't like my drinking, you can like it or leave it. Thank you for being so open. Annette, I'm just going to use your name right now because you're on the comments here and people can see. I love that you're being vulnerable and open, so thank you so much. Annette is someone really close to me, and I care so much about her family, and her relationship. No willingness to change or grow. This is a tough situation, Annette. We work together about changing our insides so that our outsides reflect that. And you had some of those shifts going on, but if he didn't take that further leap into making the changes he needed to make inside, that's where it gets difficult. That's where you do need to ask that question, can I continue on this way? And it's so sad for me to hear that he didn't see that space, because you gave it to him. And when I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, when you back off the man and stop nagging and being in their face, oh no, this was Tuesday, and just get out of the way for a bit, which I have a really hard time doing. But when we back away, we give the man space to breathe. And when they can breathe, they're like, holy shit, I'm not really being who I want to be. True?
Yeah.
That happened, right?
Yeah.
And so in that space, that's where they need to figure it out. That's where your partner needs to figure out what's going on for him. And if he can't step up, you know, his life's it's going to hurt.
And I want to say this too, like sometimes we've been in places in our relationship where we've questioned, like, should we stay in this relationship? We've gone to that place. And another part that keeps us together is we ultimately will go to our hearts individually. Like, I'll ask my heart, my soul, is this the person for me? Like, is this so painful that I need to get out? Because our pain sometimes will put us in survival mode in our mind. We'll just be thinking like, oh, this is so painful. I can't take this anymore. I want to get out of this. Or have I attracted Petra into my life to like look at a part of myself where I don't feel loved, or I'm not feeling worthy, I'm not feeling enough? And is that the work I need to do? Because oftentimes when I make that shift, or I'll ask the universe, like, help me, you know? And the shift isn't that she needs to shift with her behavior. It's showing something about me where I need to be more loving. I need to love myself deeper. I need to connect with that part of myself that knows what's best for me. So ultimately, I think sometimes we have pain.
And we can't make that decision when we're in survival mode, is what I think what you're saying.
Well, we can make the decision, but there's a part of us that knows what's best for us. So ultimately, if we can get in touch with our heart and our soul, it will tell us and it will guide us what we need in the relationship.
Can I encourage Annetta for something?
Yes.
Annetta, go to your tools, dear. You know them. If you need a refresher, let's have a chat, okay? I want to talk to you. Use your tools. Go inward. And if he can't communicate with you, that's a whole other scenario. But it feels to me like you have some things you want to share. And I think they're a place of love and maybe some anger too. But I think you need to go to your tools and start working there. And if you want to chat, make sure you reach out to me. Let's set up a time. Let's just have a chat. Okay?
And I want to share this story too. This is what kind of brought us together. There's times in the beginning when our relationship was kind of challenging, and Petra's kind of questioning whether I was the one for her. And I remember we were on the ferry coming from Vancouver to Victoria. Do you mind if I share this story?
Sure. I do want to get back. I have more for Netta.
I just want to say, like, I knew that you were in pain, and I was just like, Petra, just go out and ask the universe for a sign, like something to help us, right? So she goes out in the ferry. She leaves me, and she goes out in the ferry, on the side of the ferry. And she puts it out to the universe. Like, come on, I need a sign. Like, is this the man? Is this the one?
I was praying with tears in my eyes. Like, this is so painful. Must I really be here?
And then all of a sudden, what happened for you?
A family of orcas just leaped right in front of me, and I basically fell over because I was terrified of what was going to happen in my life. And although our journey hasn't been like smooth sailing, it's been rich and it's been meaningful, and I've gotten closer, the benefit to who I am and my strengths, which are loving, really deeply loving, and sharing a message that is, I believe, going to change people's connections with their spouses, with their families, with their communities, and on a large scale. So that frustration has actually led me to my world mission, which is still a struggle, like, to get out there. But when I'm speaking from that place, I know it's related to source and my mission. And I believe Gary probably thinks the same.
I feel that way too. I was going to share one other story. I remember it was on your birthday, and we were at the pool at the Oak Bay Beach Hotel. The pool is on the water. It's on the ocean. It's incredible. It's dreamy. It was Petra's birthday. We were there for her birthday. But again, we were fighting about something, or arguing about something, or maybe I was upset because, I can be needy at times, and Petra doesn't give in to me. I know we said we weren't going to talk about that, but might as well be honest. And she was sitting in the poolside, and again, she went off by herself, and she was sent out this message. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting at one side of the pool, she's at the other, and an eagle flies right over her head and goes right up in between us. And I remember us just looking at each other going, like, we're in pain right now, and we're sad, and it's hard, but we attracted each other to work out this pain in ourselves individually. And ultimately, the highest authority that I feel we're connected to, I just want to share that I don't feel like we're disconnected from the authority. The authority is connected to us, whether we call it love or God or soul or intuition or whatever you want to call it. But that part of us knows what is best for us. And in that moment, in all those moments we've had pain, it's told us, or we've been guided, that that pain that we're feeling is for us to heal. It's for us to go through. I'm
just going to comment on that, because it's not always easy to listen to your heart, especially when you're in pain. So that's where we come in. We can support you to get there, because we're not in our minds about your situation, but we can feel and help you into your heart. I just want to go on top of what Anita was saying, because I had a message inside our beautiful group that we're doing our course in, our program. And on the very last day, we celebrate, because we have gone through a 4-week program, and it was hard. It's hard to get accountable, stay on our work, and go deep and acknowledge some things. But in the end, we're meant to celebrate. And I'm going to try to read this without using her name. Celebrating, not sure if I can yet. Like I mentioned before, I've built up a wall of resentment and hate and negativity for 24 years of marriage, blaming everything on him. I have much more work to be done before I can celebrate. Like you, I'm glad this is over. Okay, I'm not glad it's over, because it's ongoing for me, and I'll forever do it. And it's not over for her too. We'll see. She says, being accountable for this work was hard. It's way harder than being negative or complaintative. So she was admitting right there that it's so much easier just to complain and go on with how I'm living my life and regret and hate and so on. Nonetheless, I know I need to change this around, or I'll never laugh again or have abundance of any sort. So the way I'll celebrate is to continue using the tools you have taught us, and bit by bit, reclaim my happiness. That one, I've read it twice to Gary, and I could cry. You know, we are ultimately responsible for our happiness. And a lot of what happens in relationships is the reflection of the other that needs to help us heal our crap. We're soul beings. We have a lot of lessons that we haven't learned yet. And the other one helps us see it if you're doing the right work. So I
want to add to that.
Yeah,
this is what I want to add to it. The one point I want to add is, in our working relationship, we kind of put it out to the universe, like, what's going on? We tried to open up communication with this person. We would share our feelings. We would do our part and be super loving no matter what. And in the end, we found out last night that they are leaving our relationship. And it was kind of painful, and it was kind of sad. And this is what I want to say to it, is it triggered feelings of me of being like sad, of being unworthy, not being loved, like giving love to somebody and not being reciprocated. That was kind of painful. So sometimes we can have programs like the feeling of not being loved, the feeling of not being worthy, and that will show up in our relationships. The way, if you want to resolve it in yourself. Because if we don't resolve it in ourselves, it keeps showing up. In this case, she's leaving. And that's actually a really good thing for us, because it wasn't working for us.
Right.
So as a result of doing the work, you will get the clarity you need. If we don't do the work, though, that it can just keep repeating itself, like that message said, for 24 years. It was, and it can be easier to be in. We can get addicted to like negative states of survival.
Yes, that's
we can get
totally
addicted to things of like being like, we can find friends to complain with. We can be naggy. It just becomes like a part of our being, a part of our state.
It's actually a way of society. If you watch TV, watch because they're demonstrating what we're doing, and that is not being open-hearted and loving and learning from one another.
So how can you break the state of addiction, you say, in those
I'll
states
just
of being
say,
like naggy?
can I comment on that? This person who left the comment, she said it's hard. And it's hard because we are addicted to those states, and we're addicted to those states because we believe something about ourselves. That's the kind of the path that we need to go heal. Like Gary expressed, what was your belief?
in her case, my belief was I wasn't worthy or I wasn't enough. So I have to break that addiction to that thought and that feeling. I can recognize
it. Feels familiar, right?
It's familiar.
Kind of how
it feels like who I am, but it's not. It's a thought. I'm not enough. It's a feeling, like feeling sad or unworthy. But I can break those feelings and break those thoughts and change them.
And if you don't, that leads to drinking or that other addiction that makes that terrible feeling go away. And so I'm going to add a piece here, if that's okay, Gary. We've talked about this 100 times and around compassion, but it doesn't mean you need to stick around for the drinking and the behavior that follows that. Same with the woman who left her first question around how do you get someone to communicate. But if we have some compassion for the other, it creates space. Then we're not all over them thinking, you need to change, you need to do this, you need to do that, so that I feel loved, so that we have a good family. Moving into our compassionate space will allow the other to feel that. The other one feels that when you sense compassion for them. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might help that she's loving and compassionate to him. I hope for his sake. It's another thing. You can put it out to the universe, pray to God or whatever you say.
Right, we've prayed
is
for
to
him.
put it out for him, right? So if you've done that, that's
what I mean by some of your tools. To remember some of those if you can.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Please post them in the comments, and if there's any way we can help you further. I think we've probably gone to the extent of that. Right, answering those. Do you have anything else?
Well, I just want to say, like, I work with men in some of the issues that, like, some of these issues come up for men, and it's painful. Like, it's easier for us to think positively but still act negatively than it is to actually sit in our stuff. Our minds are hardwired not to feel these things, so we almost need a crisis sometimes to actually look at this stuff. So so we've tried to make it like nice and fluffy and easy so people will like be attracted to us and stuff, but sometimes we have to get right into it. Like it can be painful.
It's painful, but on the other end, there's like this connection. And I'm going to remind Annette on here, do you remember those moments? The times we met and spoke, and those moments of connection that you had with yourself and the universe and love and all those? Do you remember those? Like, those are the powerful moments. And that's what we get out of this process. So I'm just going to conclude by saying registration is still open. So those who are viewing live, thank you. Those who are watching the replay, you can still reach out to me. We're going on another 4-week journey. It's awesome. It's hard. It's fun. There's ahas. There's lots to talk about, and I'd love to have you there. So if you'd like the link, please personal message me or leave a comment in here, and I will send you registration details.
Are we wrapping up?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what.
So yeah, I just say the same thing. I'm going to do a 4-week course. Registration is open. I've done one already. It was amazing. You just see how like simple tweaks to our thoughts and our feelings can create better actions and just better results. Does it improve right away? No. Is this a work in progress? Yes. But if we don't do the work, it never gets better. Yeah. It's just going to keep repeating the same patterns. So it's so good to do this work to get better results. And you know, again, we do it because we want to do it for ourselves and love between ourselves, but also for our children, because we see our shortcomings in our children. Yes. So that's why we think it's worth it, and we're willing to like cry it out or
if you see it in your kids, you guys, if you're like, holy, they're doing what I'm doing. Our kids are now 12, and Chanel's turning 10 next week.
Yeah.
You still my heart. And Sky's 8, and boy, at times I'm like, uh-oh, we need to shift that. We need to work on that. Let's do that, because we are the ones they're watching. We are the ones that they're, you know.
Yeah, they feel unconsciously through us, and then they act unconsciously from those feelings.
And their lives will unfold the same way if we don't make these changes. And so if that's not motivation enough, I don't know what is. That's what keeps us going, keeps us together, loving, even when it's hard and a full moon and craziness all around us. That's what it's all about. So,
yeah.
Good?
I think that's it.
Hey, thank you guys for showing up. Yay, I think we've had a breakthrough. Oh my God, and I have a hole in my shirt.
That was lovely.
That's so awesome.
Sew that thing up,
I love that. Thank you guys for showing up live. We'll be here next week, Tuesday. If you have more questions, if more stuff comes up for you, please post them somewhere. I'll leave a post somewhere, a thread. You can always reach out. We'd love to dive in. All right.
You played that off well.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.